And I'm going to go on mute until we start. I recommend you do the same and then come off when you take over.
Okay.
I'm on mute right now. Hello, everyone. Good day. The webinar will commence in a few minutes. Waiting to the top of the hour. Hello, everyone. We will begin the webinar in a few minutes. We're just official top of the hour on the world clock. This is Jim Nelson standing in for Linda, who is your normal host or hostess, I guess is appropriate. I was just taking a look at some of the attendees. It's good to see so many returning good friends, colleagues, and associates. It is now the top of the hour. Today, we are going to be talking about the facilities operation maturity model, and we are highly excited and happy to have an esteemed expert join us today, and that is host Roberto da Silva, fondly known as Zero. So you see that good-looking fella joining you here, and he is joining us wintertime, coming into springtime in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Here is his contact information. I will just put my camera on for 1 second to wave at everybody. And as you can see, I have a face made for radio. So I will turn off my camera. So on the speaker introduction, over time, Zero started as a business colleague, and that relationship has evolved to a friend. And as you can see, he is highly qualified and has really a lot of expertise and field experience, but he's got traditional formal academic education. And I would recommend at this time, Zero, is if you probably want to turn off your camera, since everybody has had a chance to see, and at the end, we can turn it back on. That allows much more real estate and screen saving.
Okay.
Then advance to the next slide if you would like. So in addition to his credential, as you can see, he has been I-Corps training partner. And here's his next slide, if you would, please. Then we will look at the schedule of the agenda. So our objectives is to understand a framework to evaluate the maturity really on critical environments and data center operations. I'm keenly excited. This is a topic of interest for many organizations, is how do I benchmark, rate, categorize high availability facilities, and not only that, get a path for improvement and maturing over time. As usual, this recording will be available shortly after the completion in a couple of days. If you have any questions, please feel free to enter those, and we'll address those at the end of the webinar as appropriate. If there's something significant, we will follow up with emails post-webinar. So go ahead and advance, and I will turn this over to you, Zero. Thank you for joining us. Good luck. Jim's on mute.
Okay, thank you, Jim. I hope you are hearing me well. First of all, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to us. And I apologize for my English. I'm a Portuguese Brazilian speaker, so apologize for any mistake. Jim, if you need something, please interrupt me and let me know. Well, as Jim said, we are going to talk about the facility operation maturity model, or FOMM, and having an operation and maintenance program with reading procedure and effective people training determines to the large degree how well a data center lives up according to its design intent. The facility operation maturity model is a useful method for determining how effective that program is and what might be the lacking, and the benchmarking for performance and drive a continuous improvement throughout the life cycle of one facility. Okay. Every data center relies on effective operation, maintenance, and management by the trained and organized people. This program of operation and maintenance plays a critical role in how successful a data center is, and in meeting its designs and goals of the company business objectives. This material was based on Schneider white paper. The link is below. It was created some years ago based on 30 years of market observations. So we are going through the material, you are going to understand better what the framework means. The phases of data center is something that goes in cycle. The responsibility of the facility operation team usually is related in how do I operate at optimal levels. But that's a cycle, so I need to know every time where I am, and if I notice that something should be changed, I go to planning, design, and build again some required change. And by the way, once the facility operation team is involved since the planning, design, and building, that is the best option. It's important otherwise to monitor, measure, and report the performance of a data center, so that performance, efficiency, and resource-related problems can be avoided, at least identified early, if I maintain that under assessment. The cost of unavailability of a data center or a downtime is something that has been increasing in the last years. We used to use a FOMM study that started many years ago. In fact, in 2010, they repeated that in 2013 and 2016. And more recently, they stopped doing this kind of assessment, but there are many sources from the market that we see that the cost of unavailability has been increasing. So it grew from an average of a little more than $5,000 per minute. It depends on the vertical market you are talking about, to over 9,000 per minute. Here we see some research done in different verticals, and we can see that an hour of downtime can cost a little less than 100,000 until a couple of millions dollars per hour. So it's something that brings a lot of costs a lot of money to the companies, and in some cases that costs until they are surviving. So having a control of the quality and the maturity of our process is something that is much relevant. The downtime we divide in two kinds. One type of the downtime we consider planned ones. That the one we usually necessary for our data and for big maintenance events, upgrades, etc. That is 90% of the downtime we have in our data center. But that brings impact to us is that one that was unscheduled or unplanned. It's the one we should avoid taking care of our structure, of our facility operation. Also, we have some information regarding the different causes of outage, the root cause of outage, and we see many different. Still, we have a lot of impact brought by the electrical failures. There are many others. Some of them we cannot control. For instance, the weather sources of outage. But the interesting is that 1 in every 4 outages in data centers are caused by human error or human accidents. So something around 24%, or at least 1 in each 4 outages was caused by human error. And that's where we can focus. We usually says that a data center is based or is over three big columns that handles our uptime operation, the mechanical or electrical equipments with their functions and functionalities. The other one is the people with their skill training, their job roles, time in their position or seniority, and even the specialty people behavior, and also the attitude. It's something the organizations is considering a lot. It requires some kind of behavior that has to do with critical mission work. And the other column we consider is the processes, not an oral or an informal process, also known as a tribal knowledge, but based on a written procedures, written and formal procedures. It is when that is well established, we consider all the routines and instructions that we use to handle and operate a good facility. So if one of those columns really, we will have an impact in our operation and probably an outage. Well, there is a pool here, Jim. I don't know how you handle that, but the question is, does your organization have a reading procedure for the facility's operation?
We'll give everybody a few choice. Give you a few moments to pick to see if you have procedures of these four choices. What I'm seeing is a lot of yes, the second choice, and some yeses. See no. Okay, we'll give it a few more moments to finish up and let them balance. We're at 80% voting. I'll give you a few more seconds. So finish your voting if you would, please. Okay. So here's our results. As you can see, and I'll turn it back to you, Zero, if you have any comments on these poll results. Jim's on mute.
Okay, can you read me? The second one should be yes for the operational and reading
Yes,
procedure.
okay, I'll help you out here. First off, on the no, there was 7% respondents said, no, we have nothing. 1 in 3, 33% said, yes, we have written procedures around operations. 13% yes, we have maintenance procedures for your electrical and mechanical. And about half, 47% said, yes, we do have written procedures required to properly manage our facilities operation. So I'm going to close that poll now. Thank you for sharing. Back to you, Zero. Continue your presentation. Jim's on mute.
Great, thank you, Jim. Thank you for the feedback. Yes, we are going to see what are the reading procedure we handle and we use to check using this framework. So talking about the usual procedures in critical environment, it's a variety of ways. We have specialized format and that are specific to the particular task at hand. The most common used procedures are the SOP or Standard Operation Procedure. It can be functional or administrative. It details a common operation procedure and can be pulled out whenever you need. An example of SOP is how could I rotate the equipment using in a building management system, for instance. An example of an administrative one is would be how could I create a ticket to work, a work for a ticket for a service, for instance. So each kind of procedure should be written and formal. The next one is the method of procedure, or MOP. The MOP is used when we are working on or around any piece of equipment that has the ability to direct or indirectly impact the critical load. So a library of MOPs should exist for scheduling maintenance operations and should be reading for corrective maintenance and installation activity as well. The MOP may refer an SOP that needs to be performed in a course of a procedure, or a course of a maintenance. And the last usual procedure we have is an EOP, or emergency operational procedure. It's designed to respond for a predictive or a previously experienced failed mode. It covers how to get the safe condition, restore a redundancy, or isolate a trouble. It also covers disaster recovery scenarios. We are going to see a little bit about disaster recovery and business continuity. Also, it's very important for the operation is the technical team. An skilled engineering team can make the difference between downtime, outage, and uptime for a data center. Nowadays, especially because of efficiency issues, we are much less investing on a redundancy as a design redundancy as a warranty of uptime. And the data centers is investing much more on operation and maintenance procedures and maturity to maintain the data center on. Even because of the trust and the availability and confiability of the equipment, numerous errors can determine an outage. We saw in the average 1 in every 4 is caused by human errors. And a simple error can actually be higher in data center that are designed for more reliability. So if I committed an error in an operation of a tier 4 or a tier 3 plus a very complex configuration, sometimes the cost of an error is also to recover the original situation, especially because it's less frequent, and any wrong operation can cause a damage that the people were not very practicing in recover that site, because it's natural relies on the redundancy. So an error can cause an impact in an existing data center that causes a very long outage and downtime. So we do the assessment in different customers. We have been doing this for the last 7 years at least. And the process we do involve 3 different phases. The first one is an assessment to understand where we are, and the good to use this kind of framework is that it indicates each kind of that gap you find in your operation and maintenance, and you can address by yourself or with some kind of support to cover those gaps. And at the third phase, we realize a final assessment to get the certification if you want. So this certification usually relays for 3 years. It's good for 3 years, but as everything, the process can spoil during the year. So a good practice that also is recommended by the standards is have an annual, at least an annual review of your process in order to be ready for the next formal certification auditing. During this process, we use, of course, our experience. As I said, we have been doing this. The first customer that asked us to support them in their operation procedures, maturity of their operation maturity. was IBM. I know if you are not aware, but IBM created the first best practice for operation in data center, in fact, to mainframes almost 30 years ago. Part of those people created the operation model that Uptime uses. We have customers as IBM that have their own BB or best practices documents, but also we have some as Banco Itaú, it's the largest private bank in Brazil, that certifies with Uptime their operation. They are tier 3 gold. That means a high level of maturity in sustainability. And also other company that belongs to financial market, most of them, especially consider the financial market is one that has more impact in terms of costs when they have an outage. So we do that also for Santander Bank, Porto Seguro, Senac, and other customers in Brazil and Latin America. Also, we use agile methods to generate a collaborative environment between the parties involved. It's not just people from engineering that are involved in this kind of assessment. Usually people from finance, for security, many different areas, business area, IT systems. So in order to create and generate synergy, we use agile methods, and also to handle all the lines during the process. It's a process that took like 3 or 4 weeks and have over 1,000 lines in a project. So we use PMP, certified by PMI, and of course all the knowledge we brought from ICOR as a certified auditors for critical environments. The framework considers 5 different levels. If you are 0, it's an existing process or item. And once we evaluate one element, we can score from 1 to 5. Ad hoc or initial, that is number 1. If I have some kind of repetitive but intuitive in the element, we score as 2. The lower level required is a formal level, so it's a defined process, that is 3. 4 for something that we have some kind of management or optimized element, that is scores as 5. So it's something similar to I2 scores. It's important to monitor, measure, and report the performance of a data center, so that performance or efficiency and resource-related problems can be avoided, at least identified early. Besides, problem prevention assessments are necessary to benchmark performance, determine whether changes are needed and what specific steps are required to reach the next desired performance or level maturity. So the good of having a framework is not to identify the gaps, but to understand what are the specific steps for reach the next level. And also the results should be compared against the data center's goals for its criticality, efficiency, and budget. Each data center is designed for a specific use. So not the framework should be considered the same for every different data center. So it depends, and is something we define together with the customer. Once the level of maturity has been benchmarked, periodically assessment is recommended and should be conducted in a regular intervals. We recommend once a year. I said says once a year for the complete framework. Sometimes after the certification, we define like a schedule to cover all the elements during 1 year period. The structure it is divided in 7 core disciplines, and we can see here this discipline has several operation-related elements that we can see in the dark squares here. So it's a total of 26 in different 7 core disciplines, and each element has their several sub-elements. And for each sub-element, we have the 4 different levels established. So the score criteria and the model it supports have been tested and vetted with real data centers and their owners. The score criteria represents a realistic view of an spectrum and deep of operation and maintenance program elements that owners have in place today. So it's something that we have been testing and the marketing is testing during the years. Well, detailing a little bit each of those core elements. The first of them has to do with environment, health, and safety. So the workplace safety program, we check if it's in place. The use of personal protective equipment, PPE. Also the electrical safety in the facility, hazard analysis, hazard communication, and how we handle the hazard materials. All the statutory compliance, it depends on the country you are talking about, but things that has to do with environment, air quality, SPCCP, wastewater discharge, and issue in regard to health in United States and internationally. We have the reference of OSHA, and also the fire protection, also internationally and domestically in the United States. We have an FPA. In Brazil, we have an authority that calls ABNT, Associação Brasileira de Normas Técnicas, that has to do as all the issues that covers people health and site protection. The second discipline is emergency preparedness and response. So those processes that was set to anticipate, prevent, and mitigate the effects of any emergency incident. So the EOPs appears here, the emergency operation procedure. Also a plan for a crisis management, and the BCDR, the business continuity and disaster recovery procedures. So we go through those aspects as well. Also, it's important to see if those plans and procedures has a drill process and the scheduling in the execution. So sometimes we see some plans that are designed and goes through a draw and is never tested. So how it is tested, which frequency, and how we drill the people is also checked in the maturity process. And also the incident management, any kind of incident we have in our operation. So the notification, identification, and reporting, and how I bring the lessons learned, our LL, from those events, especially that customers that has many different sites, the knowledge that we have from one people can be shared throughout the organization. And also the near miss reporting. Of course, we have method to treat the outage and study the root cause analysis. But once the outage become more rare, also we should evaluate all the near miss report or savings that the site passed through. That's a kind of incident, by the way. The next core discipline is the maintenance management. So all the tasks associated to upkeep, maintenance, and repair the physical infrastructure systems in support of facility performance, reliability, and service level objectives. So the asset management, all the asset database, and the scope of works are evaluated. Usually we have that in a system, in a CMMS. All the work order management, the scheduling, tracking, recording, analysis, corrective, follow-up activities, and the process of reporting. How I use the computerized maintenance management system. Usually this is one software or a bunch of softwares that cover different disciplines. And another important element that is vendor management. So how do I select my vendors, and how do I perform metrics for their level of service and reports? It's so important that IBM has one document, one DP designed just for vendor management. It's maybe the biggest challenging in the operation maintenance days, because of a specialty. Sometimes use a third party to perform your maintenance, and not rarely more than one, several. So how to handle this and manage. And also the spare part management, identification, inventory, and storage, that can be inshore, offshore, but how do I handle this, especially for the critical items? Site management, it's the day-by-day activities associated with site utilization, performance, and efficiency. So the facility monitoring, the capability management, capacity planning, the use of the CIM, all the aspects of site operation. So here we have all the SOPA, or the administrative procedures, the technical documentation, critical facility work rules, shift turnover. So how do I handle these on books or during the change of the shifts, and the building rounds. Also the efficiency and optimization. How do I perform the benchmark, the energy management, reporting, and the system optimization, and all the site conditions. So the clearness and organization, also the materials and the inventory. The fifth discipline is operation management. It's day-by-day activity to support the security, transparent, and cross-functional operation in the data center. So Here we have all the personal management, staff modeling, career development. So how do I control my performance, SLE, key performance metrics or KPI, also risk management. How do I do the identification, communication, and control? How do I control the vendor visitor operation, site security, protocol compliance? That's the point where we usually have a security department involved. Sometimes, especially in the financial market, they are very critical with security and this kind of procedure. And for a critical operation, we have to be aligned. Otherwise, we have problems during an emergency or a maintenance event. The financial management, purchasing, billing, and cost maintenance, containment. Here also usually we have interaction with the financial department and CFOs. The reporting, so all the reports is related to operational management. The change process or the change management, it's so critical that has one core discipline dedicated to that. So the method, tools, techniques designed to ensure a safe and successful coordination and implementation of planned works performed on time and with a minimal disruption of services. As we mentioned at the beginning, 90% of unavailability we have in site is something planned. So here we treat all the items to have a effective change management. So the risk analysis and communication is here. How do I identify and document that? How do I get a formal approvals? The review of SOPs and MOPs that are related to the change, and the change control practice, how it is structured in a practical way, and how do I do a vendor supervision during those changes. And the last one, not less important, but it is the quality management. So is how do I ensure the quality control and the quality assurance of all those processes. So the document management, how do I control the versions and the library? How do I do my training? How do I evaluate my needs? So the qualification required, licensing, certifications, and the record keeping of the training. So as well as a process, a training program should be a written one, and we have to keep a record of the improvement and the skill management of all of my critical staff. Inspection and auditing. So here we have all the quality control routines and the continuous improvement or innovation. So the process of RCA or root cause analysis, and the innovation programs is here in this core discipline as well. So that covers all the disciplines of the model. And we go to another poll.
Okay, everybody. On this poll, it's being distributed. It's the 7 disciplines that Zero just talked about. It's asking you to see of these 7 disciplines, where do you see yourself being the more vulnerable or exposed? Okay, I'm watching the tracking. Let's see, about a third of you had voted now. We'll give it a few more moments to get ourselves some statistical reliability. By the way, while this is coming in, I have to compliment Zero and his team at Top Tier, because recognizing they took a theoretical white paper and were able to develop and engineer that into a service operating, and then providing that service offering for several years, as mentioned, and delivering that service to many of their key customers that are important to the development and the continued viability of not only the country, but the financial stability. So I think that's an impressive progressing service offering, and I'm absolutely thrilled to see this coming from our friends in Brazil. Okay, we're kind of parked at 54%. I'm going to stop the poll. Okay, close that. Good. Let's see what our results are. Okay, 20. Oh, we're not vulnerable. We're perfect. We're all set. We can walk on the water. We don't even need any stones to step on, which is fun. Emergency response, 1/3 of you, or 36%, say emergency response and maintenance is where we feel most vulnerable. Largest was 43%, which was site management and or change management. And operations management received no votes. With that being said, I'm going to hide the results. Thank you, everyone, for voting. I'll turn it back to you, Zero. I'm on mute. You have the floor.
Great, thank you, Gene. Thank you for your comments as well. Yeah, those are where people feels more vulnerable, and that's according to our experience. And I can say after the first assessment, usually the organizations get surprised with other issues that they have, and they are not aware, because when we have a framework to compare and all the sub-element requirements to each level, sometimes we get some surprises, or we realize we have some vulnerabilities that we are not aware. Well, let me change to the next one here. Sorry. So understand better the 4 different levels. As I said, for each sub-element evaluation, we score from 1 to 5. So when we have something very niche or ad hoc, we handle with number 1. If something is repeatable but intuitive, things that the company reacted more or less the same way, but there is no formal procedure defined, so we score as a 2. Once we have a defined process, 3, and we have some kind of management or measurable process, we score that as 4, and also if it is in the top measurable way or optimized, we consider that as a 5. The important is for each of those elements or sub-elements, we have all the requirement for score each of those. So understand better, know awareness of importance of an issue related to the activity determines a number 1. So I have no documentation, no monitoring, no activity, or no training about this item. So it's a number 1. If I have some awareness of importance of this issue, we can find a number 2, but still I have no documentation, monitoring, activity improvement action, or a formal training. And number 3, that's at least the lower level we consider for critical environment operation. So in most of the cases, a level 3 is expected as a minimum requirement. So this affected the personnel. They are trained in the means, goals of this activity. So the documentation in this case is present, but I have no monitoring or activity improvement as well as a formal training. So it's still a number 3. The evaluation for a level 4 is when I monitoring, I have an activity under constant improvement. So once I have a formal procedure, for instance, and I use that, usually I have an opportunity to appoint some kind of improvement that the document can be received, notice in their use in a real case. Also, the formal training is routinely performed and tracked. Also important to have that tracked. So some drills we do with procedure with the technical and operational team. If I do that, I have to keep the record of those events as well. And I use some kind of automated tools, but with some limited or fragmented way. And the difference for the number 5 is we have all the items we have in the number 4, but I use automated tool to improve the quality and effectiveness of the activity. So I have the full control of the improvement or a possibility of the innovation regarding this activity. We said before that the model is designed to cover all the elements, all the disciplines. As I said, it's a very complete framework. We see that covers all the requirements IBM has in their best practices, as well as the uptime in their auditing for operational maturity. So it's a very complete framework. And we have other organizations that has the certification by the FOMM model as well. So ICOR can provide this certification for a site as well. But for every site, we have elements that has high, medium, or low importance in their operation. So the first thing we do is define with the customer this organization. Usually we start after initial asset a program to improve the maturity, and our focus is the high to the low. So the organization can establish also a plan to dedicate more or less efforts to improve their maturity based on what is important to their business. it's an example of how to score. So in the discipline 1, we have item 1 and sub-item 1.1. So we have here all the items that are evaluated in these sub-elements. So each of those are checked with documentation, people interview, and site survey. And we can analyze item by item and define a score for every sub-element. So we give the level of the maturity. And by the way, you can see here, it's specific to each sub-element. So it's not nothing general or subjective. It's very specific for the sub-element. And we bring the score. After the score, we define the level of importance, and we have a ponderation and a score level. It's a method we develop with customers to bring to the high level management to see, looking for a number or for a score, how they are in each element or in each discipline. So it's something they can score and not go through all the long report and see 150-page report to understand, but they can follow this and see the evaluation, looking the numbers. So we also make some graphics. So this graphics has to do with the discipline 1. And we have here a benchmark with other customers in the same customer vertical industry, and they see their own objective and comparing to the others how their operation is benchmarked. Also, there is opportunity to present the results in other kind of graphics. This is a radar graphic that brings all 7 elements. And here we have objective, initial, and present evaluation. As I said, some customers do this process for 6 or 7 years continuously, so they can control and still have their objective based on their maturity. It's a PDCA process, so we check, we act, and we have a plan and execution. So it's a continuous cycle. And here we brought a graphic from one customer where they have the 7 different scores, and they have a final score. And looking for those scores, they understand how they are according to their lower objective, and they can see how that evaluates year by year. And also, as I mentioned, the certification of compliance can be issued by ICOR. They recognize 3 different levels of compliance accomplishment. So merit, leadership, and excellence. It depends on the score we get in different disciplines. And that's the final thoughts. Who should perform the assessment? It is important to the person or team who conducts the assessment to objective and throughout with the eye for detail. Accurately determining to what degree a sub-element exists and how consistent to be used in the maintenance facility can be challenging. So it's important to have a detailed and external eye, and I can tell by our experience that most of the time the assessment brings very unknown situation to the high level administration from a data center. The organization that are low in OEM experience may also have difficulty to determine the best path to forward once the initial score baseline has been established. While the models 5 defines the level of maturity, each sub-element is specifically designed to help guide where to go next. Some way not know what are the most effective steps to get there. So as I said, the model is interesting because they show where you are and what are the steps, the next steps. And sometimes we also do a consultant help using our experience and bringing models to help accelerate the organization to get the next steps of their elements. And the importance of having the new set of eyes over the structure. Usually when we do something and we review by ourselves, some mistakes are not noticed. So all the methods we use, even to create some path to increase the maturity, we use some techniques of cross review. So mechanical and electrical people reviewing their procedures by the other area. So it's good to see if it's well written and if the processes are very understandable, even for people that has different backgrounds. What we have from outcomes from an assessment, so which degree the facility is, if the compliance is satisfactory to the statutory regulations. It depends on where the site is located and what are the authorities responsible to these statutory regulamentations. How responsive the staff is to handling and mitigate events, especially the emergency events. The level of risk of system interruption you have from your day-by-day operation, and the level of knowledge and the capability of your staff. In conclusion, human error and inattention can compromise the performance of any data center design, even those that are fault-tolerant designed from the engineering perspective. So the level 4 or tier 4 design is over, or even those with a single error, and we have seen this by experience, can bring an outage. So the FOMM improves the detailed framework for evaluating and benchmarking all aspects of an existing assessment program. Also, it offers a means to determine what level or degree the operation and maintenance program is implemented, used, management, and measurable. With those information, the facility operation team can better ensure that its program is continuously lives up to their data center specific design and their business goals. We saw that it's different, the design from data center to data center, and the vertical industry to vertical industry. During all the data center life cycles, because the life cycle determines vulnerabilities. For instance, the very recent installation has those vulnerabilities, and an installation that is getting old, it also has their specific characteristics. Also, the importance to the person or the teams that conducted the assessment, the objective and the eye of on the detail. So usually we use the same staff, people that has been doing this for a long time. So it's important because they go in the very sensitive points to determine how to get the information and qualify correctly the level for each CV element. And also, it's important because it's an unbiased assessor, so it's something from outside of the organization that has objective to bring the reality, not to cover something or make some boss happy. So it's the reality that's important, because sometimes not to know your vulnerabilities is a vulnerability. Well, we have all the references you can see after, and that's it. That's it, Jim. I'm afraid I was a little bit extended in my time, but
no worries. Just for the group, I had two comments. First off, one comment is you were worried about your English. You speak several languages. You did that quite well. That was noted. Second comment, this is an impressive scorecard or tool, and it appears that this could be used as a GPS, I'm assuming global positioning system, or a road for the future. Excellent, thank you. And second comment, this is an impressive tool. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Jim, for your kindness.
Excellent. With that being said, for those attendees, thank you for the extra time. Very nice job, Zero. And the information and your certificates will be available as usual in a couple of days. Thank you again to everyone for your participation, and a special thank you, strong thank you, Zero and Taptir, for sharing this information.
And
go ahead. Last comments, Doria or Zero, and I will then close out this presentation.
I just want to be open for any question or concept. You have my my records, so you can use the phone or email, and I'll be available for any question. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. With that being said, again, thank you to everybody. This now concludes our Wednesday webinar session. Thank you again for attending. Good day. Stay well.
Bye now.